Hey everyone, welcome to Mary, Mother of Red Devils. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mary. I run an all-female Manchester United football fan channel. It's called She Devils United. But I decided to start a second channel. The name probably needs a rejig, but for now it's Mary, Mother of Red Devils. But I thought I would do some other content that I can't quite do over on She Devils United. And right now, there's a huge problem in football and a huge number of problematic footballers out here in all different aspects of certain things in society, animal abuse, domestic violence, a whole heap of stuff going on right now with footballers and ex-footballers, but it is very prevalent and it is happening currently in society. We've got the whole Kurt Zouma stuff. He is in the thumbnail. Ryan Giggs is another one. His court case coming up in the summer of this year. Marc Overmars, director of football at Ajax, former director of football at Ajax, because he has been relieved of his duties, ex-Arsenal and Barcelona player and ex Ajax player and an Ajax legend, fired for inappropriate messages and images sent to female employees. We've got Benjamin Mendy and all of that stuff. So we're going to talk about some of them. Of course, look, there are hundreds of footballers who have shown extremely problematic behaviour. Mason Greenwood being another one, and I've done lots of videos on She Devils United about Mason Greenwood. So if you want to check it out, you can check those out. So we're not going to talk about him in this video, but he is one currently. Sigurdsson, Gylfi Sigurdsson is another one. But there's been loads of them down through the years. But in 2022, we're going to talk about it because there's a lot of things that need to be called out right now. And if you don't draw attention to the stuff going on, in my opinion, you're part of the problem. No, there is a debate going on about Kurt Zouma and animal abuse, and lots of people are comparing it to racism, okay? No, what they're saying is, why aren't the punishments for racism being equal to the punishments talking about for Kurt Zouma? I completely agree. The punishments for racism in football and in society in general, they aren't punishment enough. They're not severe enough. They're definitely not. But to me, both situations are abhorrent, and I don't think really. I think that's a discussion for another day, okay? I don't think it needs to be highlighted here. However, I think the punishment for Kurt Zouma now, currently today, is probably enough. Whether you agree with that or not, let me know in the comments down below, okay? So what happened was this horrific video. I'm not going to play the video. You can find it on YouTube, okay? Kurt Zouma, looks like it was in his house. It was confirmed that the video was it was recorded by his brother, who is a footballer at Dagenham and Redbridge as well. So he is a footballer. So Kurt Zouma was recorded quite irate in the video. He was seen picking up his cat and kicking the cat. It's a Bengal cat, I think. He also was seen slapping the cat, throwing shoes at the cat. The brother looked like he was egging him on, laughing. There was at least one child I saw in the video. No, I've only seen the video once. I haven't watched it again because I found it quite a tough watch. And I would say to anyone, if you haven't seen it, you want to watch it, just be mindful that it is a bit upsetting. It is quite severe animal abuse of a cat in the video, okay? No. The thing was, it was in front of kids in there too. And in my opinion, you can agree or disagree, that's not the first time that this has happened in the house, because it seemed to be quite normalized. And also, they were laughing about it, It looked like the atmosphere in there was kind of egging Kurt Zouma on in a way, certainly by the person recording it, which I found equally as shameful as the act itself. How they thought that this was normal in any way, shape or form, it's beyond comprehension, okay? So what happened was the video was released by the Sun. The Sun found the video, okay? And then we saw West Ham condemned the behaviour of Kurt Zouma, and then they initially said they were dealing with it internally. but then the player played not 24 hours later. David Moyes picked him in his team against West Ham, which I think for me was the most damning thing of this whole entire thing. David Moyes kind of played it down, minimalised it, and he should have been dropped from the team. And I think if he had been dropped from the team initially, none of the uproar since probably would have happened, okay? So they played him not 24 hours later against Watford. He got booed for the entire game by the home fans and the away fans, rightfully so, in my opinion. Kurt Zouma came out himself and apologised. I do have the statement up on the screen, and he said, I apologise for my actions. There's no excuses for my behaviour, which I sincerely regret. I would like to assure everyone that our cats are perfectly fine and healthy. They are loved and cherished. I would debate that, because how they're loved and cherished when you can do that to them is a bit of a contradiction, in my opinion. Okay, I'm deeply sorry. He said no. The RSPCA came out and condemned the video. There was Twitter uproar, social media uproar about it. They condemned the video. They said they were investigating. There was no kind of further action from that. Then we heard the police weren't getting involved. However, the French police have since gotten involved in the situation and said they might actually prosecute him for it. No. I think the fact that he played 24 hours later, there was kind of nothing done about it. It looked like West Ham wanted to just kind of pretend like it didn't happen. We're going to play him and hope it blows over. Wrong from West Ham. What they should have done, in my opinion, and obviously get in down below in the comments with your take on it, they should have either suspended him or just dropped him completely out of the squad for a week or two, okay, and then fined him. And I think that would, in my opinion, for me, would have been an appropriate punishment. However, they didn't. Now, since then, he's been fined £250,000 a week. 2 weeks' wages for Kurt Zouma, who is a millionaire, let's be honest here. He's on 125 grand a week, millions of pounds a year. Relative to how much money he earns a week. To me and you, it's not really a huge amount of money. It's a huge amount of money, but to him, it's nothing really. However, a lot of people are saying, and that's where the debate comes in about the fines for racism and countries who are fined by UEFA and FIFA for being racist, clubs, the fines aren't nearly near that. And I would agree, they're not severe enough. However, I don't think we shouldn't be comparing them in this situation. That racism debate and fines and punishment for racism, a whole other topic separately, and I think it should be removed from the situation, okay? Because you're trying to maximize and highlight one situation when minimizing another situation, and both are abhorrent, okay? Now, the RSPCA have since, in the last 24 hours, seized and removed the cats from Kurt Zouma's home. I think personally the right decision. I don't think he should be allowed to keep those cats, because, again, I'm going to reiterate, I don't think that's the first or the last time that he has hurt those cats, because to me it looked like it was quite a normal situation. And if, regardless of what the animal does, the animal cannot communicate. It has certain behaviors that they are learned since the beginning of time, scratching and peeing, and they're wild animals that have been domesticated by humans, but they still have a lot of those behaviors. And you have to have patience, compassion, love, and understanding for animals. Otherwise, what's the point in having them in your household? Animals are going to tear up stuff. They're going to chew stuff. They're going to pee. They're animals. They're not human beings. They can't communicate. They're animals, okay? So I think the RSPCA did the right thing. Now, maybe the children maybe they are loved by certain people in that household. I feel sorry for them, but ultimately, I don't think he should be allowed to be in possession of these cats. And I don't think he should be in possession of any animals going forward. I think he should be banned, because what he did is, there's no way that is normal way to treat animals. It just isn't. No, he is facing up to 4 years in prison if the police go ahead with the investigation in France. And I think that's a little bit, in my opinion, severe. I think animal abuse is absolutely revolting. if there is more evidence of him further abusing the animals, then by all means, if it's a one-off isolated incident, I don't think, I'm not minimizing it, or, but I think it's a bit severe. Okay, you might disagree to prosecute him. Now, he has been dropped by Adidas. Adidas have severed their sponsorship with him. I think that's the right thing to do. I don't think he should have the privilege of having the Adidas sponsorship. And he's been fined 2 weeks' wages by the club. He also should have been dropped from first team football for a week or two, because West Ham out here, they sent out a message that getting points was more important than setting an example of a player. And they should have set an example of this player, and they should have sent out a message to kids and to just the general public that this isn't acceptable. We're not accepting it, and this needs to be dealt with, and that is more important than sending a message and saying that this isn't acceptable. Is more important than football, and it's more important than getting points. And good enough on West Ham for losing 2 points as well against Watford. Okay, totally, absolutely inexcusable, utterly mind-boggling that they played him less than 24 hours after the video came out. Disgusting from West Ham. Now, they've since lost a sponsor, West Ham, and maybe potentially another sponsor, okay? Wellness sponsor Vitality have severed and suspended their sponsorship with West Ham. People think that's a little bit severe and that they feel sorry for West Ham. I don't. If they'd have acted in the right way, West Ham, by suspending him or dropping him from the team, I don't think they would have lost their sponsor. And Vitality themselves have come out and said they were not happy with the way West Ham handled the situation. That is their right. It's not a good look for them to be associated with a club who plays a player who is videotaped kicking and slapping an animal. It just isn't a good look for them. And they are a wellness brand as well. So they did the right thing. I don't have any sympathy for West Ham, and there's now another sponsor of West Ham debating whether they sever ties with them or not. And I don't have sympathy for West Ham. The player is contracted by you. You had the decision and the choice to drop him from your team, and you chose not to, right in the heat when the situation was going on, okay? Footballers are role models, whether we like it or not, or whether they like it or not. Just by choosing that profession alone, they're role models. They're on way too much money. They think they can act and do whatever way they want to, but they have an obligation. They do have an obligation as a footballer, and they're getting well paid. And when they come into that job, they've got to accept that it is part of the job, that they are role models. And it is a privilege to be a footballer and to be a role model for young children, and they've got to behave better, okay? They definitely do. And that behaviour from Kurt Zouma was absolutely, it's just abhorrent. It really and truly is. And I'm glad that the cats have been removed. I'm glad that the RSPCA have got involved. I'm glad that his sponsor was Adidas severed ties, and he was fined by the club. However, I do think he should have been suspended for a week or two. That is severe punishment enough, in my opinion, okay? Shout out to you guys in the comments. We don't have many people as the channel is coming on, but get involved after the video is published. He's even an ambassador for Big Cats, and he does this. He should, I didn't know that. He should definitely be been removed. Shout out to Doc. Is there any bigger problematic footballer than Penaldo? You can come in here and troll, but what has that got to do with this? Is there than Penaldo? We're talking about animal abuse and domestic violence, and you're coming and going, is there a problem with Penaldo? Yeah, the mind boggles. Good afternoon, shout out to everyone in the comments. If you're not going to come in and have a proper discussion, get out. You're spot on with this, Mary. And it's not about Manchester United or Penaldo. These are serious topics, okay? Really, really serious topics. Moving on to another extremely problematic former footballer, Marc Overmars, Arsenal, Ajax, and Holland Dutch legend. he's left Ajax as their director of football with immediate effect a couple of days ago because of a series of inappropriate text messages and images that he sent to female footballers and female colleagues working in Ajax. And he's their Ajax director of football, and he's worked in tandem with Van de Sar, and Van de Sar is the CEO, and he was the director of football, and he was the director of football at Ajax since 2012. Very powerful, very privileged, very really, really good job to hold for someone like Marc Overmars, and he was really revered in that job too. Lots and lots of people thought he was doing a brilliant, brilliant job. Certainly as well in Holland. Both of them, Van de Sar and Overmars, held in very high esteem in a quite privileged and very well thought of job. Absolutely a complete another abuse of power by a man. Okay, and you might not want to have the conversation or be comfortable with it, but I'm going to have it on the channel, okay? Now, Ajax slammed him in their statement. Ajax came out. Now, the good thing about it, which West Ham didn't do in the Kurt Zouma thing, was they acted immediately and binned him immediately. And that is the right response, because there's no way back for Marc Overmars in this situation, okay? So Ajax, they acted immediately, they called out the behaviour, and they fired him. That was it. And that was the correct thing to do. So well done to Ajax for doing that. Was it known behind the scenes? I don't know. But immediately when it came to the forefront, they acted in the correct and appropriate manner. Now, Marc Overmars' statement, okay, while he accepts and apologises some of the actions, it's a little problematic out here, the statement, okay. I do have a little bit of a... Okay. Marc Overmars said, I'm ashamed. Unfortunately, I didn't realise that I was crossing the line. Excuse me, what? Really? Unfortunately, I didn't realise I was crossing a line. He sent dick pics, inappropriate text messages, and exhibited stalking behaviour towards female employees. And he's out here right now in his statement saying he didn't realise it was inappropriate behaviour. Marc Overmars is married with children. He's in a position of power at Ajax in the director of football role, and he's sending dick pics and stalking female employees at Ajax. And he's here in his apology statement saying he didn't realise it was inappropriate behaviour. Well, you need serious psychological help out here if you do not think that that is inappropriate behaviour. And he goes on to say, I apologise. This behaviour is unacceptable, certainly for someone in my position. Now, I'm going to just unpack that again. I apologise. I realised my behaviour was unacceptable. No, you're apologising because you got caught, and then you're trying to minimise your behaviour by saying you didn't realise it was inappropriate behaviour. So you're minimising and you're apologising only because you got caught, okay? And then he says, certainly for someone in my position, this behaviour is unacceptable. Yeah, because you're in a position of power and you're abusing your power and you're taking advantage of your power by trying to take advantage of women because you're in a position of power. And he said, this is also has a major impact on my private situation. He is married with kids. His wife is absolutely beautiful. You only have to Google her. I don't understand the mindset of some of these men. Some of these men, let me be clear here, who do this when they've got beautiful families and wives and children, okay? And then Marc Overmars goes on to say, this is the statement, okay? This is why I ask everyone to leave me and my family alone. Yeah, I'm gobsmacked at that. The reason the focus is on you and your family is because you've put you and your family in the media spotlight by your appalling behaviour. You cannot then turn around and say, I leave me and my family alone. No, you're the reason they're in this mess, and you've got to take everything that is given to you. and you don't have the right to come out here and say, please leave me and my family alone. You absolutely don't have the right. You lost that right when you sent dick pics and exhibited stalking behaviour to female employees at Ajax. So you have no sympathy in how the press deals with you. You're at their mercy, and you're at the mercy of social media, and you don't have any say in and how to dictate that. So for you to say, that's why I ask everyone to leave me and my family alone, what you should have done is left those female employees alone, Mark, at Ajax, and then you wouldn't be in this mess to begin with. Exactly. Hashtag respect women, okay? And the stories of him sending dick pics, inappropriate text messages, and exhibiting stalking behaviours came from the Sun. They came out with that. He sent X-rated pictures of himself, obviously dick pics. Okay, now, the what is he called? The chairman of Ajax, okay, Len, he came out and he at least offered sympathy to the victims in this situation, okay? And he thought about the women that were involved in this abuse of power and this appropriate behaviour. And Lee Mijard, apologies for me butchering the Ajax chairman's name, he said it's devastating for the women who have had to deal with this behaviour. And yes, and again, kudos to Ajax. Van de Sar came out slamming the behaviour of Marc Overmars. Their chairman has come out and they immediately acted in the appropriate manner, unlike David Moyes and West Ham for Kurt Zouma, okay? And again, I go back to, it's not just a disrespect of women, it's an abuse of power. And abuse of power is more likely to occur in male-dominated working environments. That is a fact done by multiple surveys, okay? Abuse of power is likely to occur in male-dominated work environments. And there's also this myth that really needs to be spoken about and blown apart, that women are attracted to men in power. That is a myth, because these women weren't attracted to Marc Overmars and him sending them inappropriate messages and exhibiting stalking behaviour. Just because he's the the director of football at Ajax didn't mean they were certainly attracted to him. He's in the thumbnail. You can make your own minds up about him from an attractive point of view. Not that I'm slamming his looks, because two wrongs don't make a right here, okay? But there's a massive, and it needs calling out, it needs to be talked about, cultural problem in football about the way women are treated and seen in football. We have it over in She Devils United. We've gotten so much sexist comments, misogyny about our looks, about our opinions, get back into the kitchen, make me a sandwich, etc., etc. It's almost made to be lighthearted and a haha jokey, but it isn't. And it's a massive problem, and it needs to be stamped out in football. And it's not just with, like, you see female footballers, female officials, female fans, female referees, female managers, and they get absolutely hounded by, we've seen in recent times, Andy Gray and Richard Keys losing their jobs at Sky for behind the scenes comments they made about Sian Massey, okay? She's a referee. She was an assistant referee at the time, brilliant at her job. Her gender should not be a reason why she's discriminated against. If she makes appalling decisions, then call her out for those decisions, like we've seen other referees and assistant referees. But the fact that she's a woman was the reason they were calling her out. Oh, she doesn't even know the offside rule. Richard Keys and Andy Gray there, okay? So how are we ever going to stamp sexism and the cultural mindset of football as an institution? How are we going to change that if the footballers and the former footballers themselves are behaving in this manner and have this opinion and attitude and behaviour towards women? We're never going to stamp it out if we can't get it out from the footballers themselves, the clubs themselves, and certainly then it trickles down to the fans. It's almost like an acceptable behaviour, and it's been there since the beginning of time, when women were banned from football for years and years and years. It wasn't a place where women were allowed to go, okay? They were actually banned from football. And you know, the abuse that women get and the misogyny and the sexism, it is a massive problem in football even today. And in 2022, it needs to be called out. And it's good that Ajax acted in this way. It's good that Manchester United acted in the way with the whole Mason Greenwood stuff, because this behaviour is not acceptable. It's been entrenched in football for generations and generations, and it is a massive problem in the organisation as football as a whole. And we've got to call it out. We've got to talk about it. We've got to have a discussion about it, because Marc Overmars, football director of Ajax, has just been fired for this behaviour at Ajax. Massive abuse of power, massive inappropriate behaviour from a male ex-footballing legend to females within the organisation. Unacceptable. And we need to be respecting all football fans of all colours, all genders, all sexualities. But sexism and misogyny in football is it's an epidemic in football. It really and truly is. And I've seen it myself. I've directly had that sort of abuse over on She Devils United, okay? And we've seen it in recent times. Benjamin Mendy, Mason Greenwood, Gylfi Sigurdsson and Wraith Rovers just recently, who hired a player who was alleged to have R-worded a girl, and there wasn't enough evidence for it to go to trial, but it went to a civil court, and him and another man were found guilty in a civil court, okay? And they released a statement. Their fans were in uproar when they signed him. And the statement was appalling from Wraith Rovers, and they said, it was 10 years ago, as if the length of time mattered in any way, shape or form. And because they got called out so much, and because of the social media uproar, they then backtracked on their decision and then tried to turn it around and say, we've listened to the fans. Not good enough. And as well, a slap in the face for all female fans out there, that you could just hire a player, not just Wraith Rovers, because he was employed at other clubs before they signed him, okay? And I do want to just touch on Benjamin Mendy before I move on to Ryan Giggs, because the Benjamin Mendy case is ongoing, and it will be brought to trial in the summer as well. He's on multiple R-word charges, okay, and SA charges, 7 counts of R-word and 3 counts of SA, dating from a period of time when he was first arrested he was arrested in November 2020, but it happened in October 2020. He was released on bail, and then a couple of alleged other situations of R and SA happened after he was released on bail. Now, he's not the only one. There is another person who was also arrested and charged and faces trial as well as him, okay? And I'm going to call this out because he was arrested in November 2020, and Pep and Man City knew about this because he was released on bail, and they played him all the way up until the very end of August 2021, when it was then made public. And then he was arrested, and he was kept in on remand, and then Man City officially suspended him. But they didn't, the whole time the investigation was going on behind the scenes, they continued to play him, which again, in my opinion, is a slap in the face to all of the female fans of Man City and football fans in general. They decided against suspending him when he was being investigated on extremely, extremely serious charges against women, okay? And appalling for Manchester City, appalling. At least with the Mason Greenwood stuff, Manchester United have suspended him. At least we have acted in that manner. Whether or not we knew about it behind the scenes is another story altogether, which is an alleged rumour that is doing the rounds on social media, that Manchester United knew about incidents that were going on with Mason Greenwood in November 2020, and they covered it up, including Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and that is a rumour doing the rounds. But as soon as it came public, at least they acted and they suspended him. Fines must be much bigger. Footballers don't care, as the fines are too little. And not just fines. The players need to be suspended, not just for abuse of women and animals, but racial abuse, all types of abuse. Clubs need to act. Now, it's 2022. You cannot just swipe these situations under the covers anymore, okay? And lastly, I'm going to talk about a player, a Manchester United legend, one who was once top 3 of my all-time favourite players, Ryan Giggs. There's a lot of problematic behavior with Ryan Giggs towards women, okay? Many people don't know this. I'm nearly 40, okay? And many, many years ago, Ryan Giggs was arrested and it went to trial about an alleged assault on his then girlfriend, Danny Bear, B-H-E-R, yeah, it's B-H-E-R, Danny Bear, who was a TV presenter. I don't know if she is now or not. If you go and Google that, you can barely find anything online. I don't think he was convicted, but he was alleged to have broken her nose when they were in a relationship. I remember that story was everywhere. If you go and Google that right now, you can barely find that story because it was quashed by the club, by the manager, by the lawyers and stuff, for solicitors for the player at the time. I don't think he was found. I don't think he was convicted, but it was alleged to have happened. And now with the situation going on currently with Ryan Giggs, makes me think that I tend to believe that he actually did do that back in the day. It was when he was first starting to become a huge name at Manchester United. But if you Google it, there's very, very little stories suppressed by the club, okay? Ryan Giggs, Manchester United legend, has been charged with controlling and coercive behaviour and assault that caused actual bodily harm. It wasn't just to one female, two, his ex-girlfriend and her sister, okay? He's accused in the court documents, okay, went into detail about some of the charges. He is alleged to have headbutted his ex-girlfriend. I mean, someone who headbutts another person has a screw loose, in my opinion. For a man to do that on a woman, for anyone to do that on anyone, is absolutely appalling. He's accused of isolation, really controlling behavior from someone, okay? Isolation is a massive red flag for anyone in an abusive relationship, whether male or female. Massive red flag if they try and isolate you from your friends and your family and your peers. Massive red flag. He is accused of isolation, violence, belittling behavior, which is a huge red flag in DV situations, harassment, degradation, and abuse. Okay, so the court documents went into further detail. He's charged with common assault on his ex-girlfriend's sister too. Multiple charges. Officially, Ryan Giggs he's still officially the Wales manager, but he's stepped aside for Rob Page, who is taken over. He should have been fired, in my opinion, okay? The trial will take place in July. Be interesting to see what comes out from that trial, okay? The court claimed that he kicked his ex-girlfriend and he threw her out of their hotel room during an argument naked. He threatened to send emails to the woman's friends and employees about their sexual relationship. This is Ryan Giggs we're talking about. So he threatened to basically dox her and, I guess, porn blackmail, which is illegal now, thank God, and release emails to the woman's friends and colleagues about their sexual relationship. That to me absolutely turns my whole insides, that any man could do this, but Ryan Giggs, a Manchester United legend, and I don't care who he is. He could be the Pope, I'm calling him out, okay? When she ended it, he started stalking her. He turned up at her gym, her house, her workplace that she attended. He was showing up everywhere, stalking her. Massive red flags, because the most dangerous time in domestic violence situations is when a partner wants to leave the other partner and does leave them. That's when the behavior starts escalating and the abuser then is starting to lose control and he's acting even more erratic than normal. This is Ryan fucking Giggs, who was seen to be squeaky clean, image, etc. We know what he did with his brother and his brother's wife, and he did that to his brother, his sister-in-law, and his wife at the time. So if someone can do those things to the closest people in your life, says it all for me, okay? So he is accused of all of these different types of behaviour. It'll be interesting again to see what happens in the court trial. Obviously, he is that is all pending the trial. These are the charges. These are the ins and outs of the charges as well, okay? Damning, in my opinion. Once you hit a woman, you're never a man again, says Paul. And there's, guys, a massive link between football and violence, okay? After Italy beat England in Euro 2020, the cases of domestic abuse rose by 90%. And the cases of domestic violence increased, and 90% of the victims were women in those domestic violence situations. 10% were women, okay? And the University of Lancaster in 2013 carried out a study which showed that when England play, just when England play alone, that the cases of domestic violence increased by 26%. That's when England play. When England lose, there's an increase in domestic violence cases by 38%. That is a direct link between international football, England fans, and domestic abuse. So there is a direct link between football and domestic abuse, between football and misogyny and sexism as a whole. And a lot of problematic footballers out here. You know, I touched on a couple of them, not really in depth. Benjamin Mendy, Mason Greenwood, Gylfi Sigurdsson, who I just named. There's loads of others. The guy that was at Rate Rovers, was he Goodwill? I mean, Goodwill, with a name like that and the charges he was alleged to have done. Good Willie or whatever his name is, makes my skin crawl even to think. So these are the problematic footballers right now. I'm sure if you're watching on the replay, get in and let me know of other footballers with problematic behaviour, because it's about time we highlight them, call them out, and we got to end this. It's 2022. You're not getting away with domestic violence, animal abuse, racism, R words, SA words, all coercive control, all of this different type of stuff. You know, SA of minors, etc., like that. You're not getting away with this in 2022. We've got to call it out. We've got to have a discussion. So get in the comments after the video is published and let's have a discussion about it. Please like the video too. I'm going to do more content on this channel. So if you watch us over on She Devils United, come over here and give us a subscribe. Also, let me know some content that you want to see. I want to do some more reaction videos and some content involving the rest of the footballing world, not just Manchester United too, is why I did a video on this channel. But guys, I am going to leave it there. Let's keep the conversation going, because these are really important topics that are going on right now, currently in football in 2022. But guys, have a great day. I'll be live tonight over on She Devils United for a preview of our Southampton game. So have a smashing Thursday, guys. Take care, everyone. Bye.